Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Winning Mondays with KW Malaysia. Hey, I'm so glad to see everyone here today. It's our first Winning Monday of the year. So happy 2023, everybody. And so what's happening, right? We just started the year and it's already Chinese New Year very soon, next week. So I was wondering, I feel like this is quite an epic year. It's like the first year that we are free to travel and do things during like a holiday time. Like this is quite a special thing. So I'm wondering, everyone on the call, who's actually planning to travel somewhere for Chinese New Year, go back to their hometown or whatever. If you're planning to travel, go see family, either just like within the state or out of Malaysia, whatever, can you just put a 1 in the chat? I'm very curious to see who's traveling, like how many people are planning to like really celebrate and go somewhere. If you're looking forward to that, just show us in the chat. Wow, no one traveling. I think the people traveling, they already traveled. They're not here on the call. I know one person has traveled. She's already there. Winnie, where are you? Yeah, okay, we got somebody. Okay. Has anyone, are you guys ready for Chinese New Year? I'm totally not ready. My family's all Chinese, so I need to organize a lot of stuff. So I'm a bit stressed. I don't know. Anyone stressed about Chinese New Year? Put a 2 in the chat. You have to organize your things, right? Okay, there we go. We got some action now. Okay, now I know where your minds are at. Okay. So today's topic, right? We're going to be talking about 2023 vision strategy. Do you know where you are and where you're heading? So this is, I think, a good topic to start the year with. What I'm going to do now, I want to introduce or bring Jonathan on with us. John, come say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Been some time since I'm able to address everyone and speak to everyone. A crazy year for me this year and the end of last year, but Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, we're so happy you're here, John, with us. Yay. Yeah, so this is the best Winning Mondays are when John is here, right? We can hear from our wonderful CEO. Okay, so I have a poll here to get us started. I'm going to launch this poll. All right, here we go. So first question, have you set your vision for 2023? Options are yes, not yet. Sorry, my vision only 2020. That's supposed to be a joke, guys. I thought it was very funny last night. Okay. All right, number 2, how would you feel if you don't achieve it? You can choose all that applied. Are you devastated? Would you be devastated? No big deal, no big deal. Discouraged, but you'll carry on. Or failure is just the first step to success. Yeah, so here's some options for you. You can choose whichever ones apply to you. Maybe you have multiple emotions happening. Yeah. So yeah, I would love to get everyone to participate just so we can just connect and get our minds set on this topic and see where everyone in the chat is at. And I want to also welcome everyone on Facebook. I know Facebook is becoming more and more popular to watch Winning Mondays, and we're getting people from overseas watching. It's quite cool. So welcome to everyone on Facebook, and you can also answer the poll in the chat. It should be posted there for you. So we'd love to see your replies as well, see what you have happening in there. Okay, so let's give it another 10 seconds and then we'll close the poll. Yeah, let us know if you have already set your vision for 2023 or and how you would feel if you don't achieve it this year at the end of the year. If you come to December 31st, 2023, and you didn't achieve, that vision that you set in place, how are you going to feel? All right. Okay, so I'll just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. All right, I'm going to share the results with you all now. And we can just discuss about this. All right, so, hey, interesting. More than 60% say yes, they have already set their vision. Okay, some not yet. Some, they love my joke. They cannot 2023, they only got 2020. Okay, 2020 vision.
Only 2%, nice. Right? Just that you know, only 2%. So
hey, I'm very funny. Okay, let me enjoy my my fandom. Okay. Okay, so how about this? What do you think of this, John? Also, the second question, right? How would you feel if you don't achieve it? Actually, yeah, a few would be devastated. One, no big deal. Most will say they will be discouraged, but will carry on. Okay. And some are like, failure is just the first step to success, about 30%. So interesting. What do you think of these results, John?
It's interesting to see that, and then I think it's quite refreshing to see that everyone has some sort of perspective about their vision, because we ask a very general question, right? And understanding of vision it's very different for a lot of people. But
Right.
I'm glad to see that majority of us have some sort of a vision set. And those who have not set yet, maybe you are still in that journey, and I encourage you to think about vision today as we speak, and as we go deep a little bit, and be a bit more personal today also about what vision is all about. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to set that conversation.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So I'm gonna just close the poll now. Okay, so John, I got a lot of questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go. Fire away.
Okay, first question. All right, so the topic, 2023 vision strategy. What exactly is a vision strategy? If you could just like make sure we're all clear what we're talking about. Let's start there.
So the way I look at what vision is, it's basically a combination of perspectives.
Okay.
And I think perspective is very critical, because if we want to move towards a direction, or you want to take action, or you want to achieve certain things, or you want to do things to achieve certain things, we need to be very clear what kind of perspectives do we have. And the way I look at perspectives, I want to talk about 3 types of perspective. The first perspective is what has happened in the past. What are the lessons I'm learning in the past? What's happened, what's going to happen, or what's happening currently, and what I want to see happen moving forward in the future. And I think perspective is important, because sometimes when we don't have perspective, we find ourselves wandering around trying to do a bunch of things and not getting a lot of things done, or achieving a lot of things that we don't understand why we achieve it for, right? So in lack of a better word, if you don't have a vision, you will be lost.
Right. Okay.
Right. There's a very famous proverb say, where there's no vision, the people will perish.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it's very important, because vision gives us perspective of how we want to move forward, what we want to do, and how we want to move backwards. So sometimes we just say don't do anything. Maybe it's time for us to change. No, I had a career change in my life, in the early stage of my life, that I decided music was not for me anymore.
Right.
Because I realized it's not going to work. And I make a step, because I had a vision that I know as a person I need to achieve certain things, and this is not going to help me. This pathway will not help me.
Wow.
Right. And it requires perspective, right, for us to come to make decisions. Because if you don't have the right perspective, we end up making a lot of foolish decisions. We end up making a lot of decisions that not helping us to get what we want, and then we will go into that disappointment, and we go into that problems of not achieving things that we want, and it's another year again, and we realize we just missed another year and just wasted another year, and life is pretty short on this planet.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So you're saying like the vision is basically that direction that you want to go in, but in light of like reflecting on the past and the present and what's happening, and so having that perspective and putting that goal in front of you. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and be clear why you want to achieve it. Right? Because when you're clear why, and then you begin to think about, okay, what's the steps that I need to do to achieve it? Right. Okay. And what will it mean when I achieve it? Right. And where does this lead me once I achieve it? So I find sometimes it's hard for some of us to see things deeper, because sometimes we are all challenged with immediate things that we have. So example, we are challenged with, oh, I cannot pay my bills right now. Just don't talk so much about vision. Let me settle my bills first, right? And that is true. There is that reality.
Yeah, the day-to-day issues.
That challenge that we have. But yet sometimes if we don't set a vision, because then you should ask yourself, do you have a vision in your life that one day you don't worry about bills anymore and it's going to be paid? Because there's a big difference. Because when we go into survival mode forever, we cannot be on survival mode for forever. It will not last long. So imagine if you are now surviving in the jungle with very little resources, and you know there's a lot of tigers, lions, elephants, or whatever in the jungle that's going to chase you every night, and you are just fighting for survival. How long are you going to last?
Right.
So having that mindset and shifting and say, okay, I know I'm in this position right now, but I don't like this. I want to have a vision that I'm going to be out of the jungle, out of the survival mode into a thriving or a better mode, right, than survival. So I think that requires vision, perspective, and that help us to understand what we should do. We should be doing what we want to do.
Wow. So vision will help us to move from that survival mode to thriving and doing better, like not having that fear constantly, you're gonna die, you're gonna drown. Right.
But by default, all of us are programmed to be in survival mode. By default. It's not our fault. It is not because we are weak. It's not because we are not good. By default, it's fight or fear, right? It's always in survival mode. How do we move from there into a mode that changes the way we think about thriving or surviving? Right? I think that's where vision comes in.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about more about this survival mode thing a bit after, because I connect with this quite a lot. Before we get into the details of all of it, why do you think this topic is important? Like, why is it important to have this vision strategy and all that? Like, let's go a bit deeper into that.
I think in my observation of this is my 19th year in this industry, and I see so many real estate people come and go the industry. Some do very well for 2 years, 3 years, and then they decided that's not what they want. They want to do something else. There's nothing wrong with that. Some do very well for the next 2, 3 years and try to do the same thing again, and yet didn't make out. They didn't make it. So many of these stories and this observation I've seen, and it cannot help. It helped me. It sets me thinking and wondering: do these people really think through deeper about their vision, about their business and their life? Maybe this conversation can help them, because I think about this all the time.
Okay.
If you want to survive and you want to thrive and you want to last long in any industry or anything that we do, we've got to be always thinking about it this way, setting a vision and thinking through how are we going to go through this career for the rest for a very long time. And I see a lot of people changing, switching, moving away because they are running away from certain things because it's not comfortable or whatever, right? And I think that is because a lot of time there's a lack of vision and understanding of where we are heading, what we want to do. And I hope today's conversation can help bring some light to some of these people, because I believe this is a very critical thing, because this industry has been so easy in and easy out. Anyone can join the industry, anyone can leave the industry and come in and join again. Right. Unlike some other countries where there are a lot of regulation, right? But this is where I see that we should think through and see how we can stay steady and be sustainable. I think the key word is sustainable. Sustainability, right? How do we build sustainable businesses? Not how do we, I see so many, I would say, so many highs and suddenly the low. This gap of moving this high and low thing is very, 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 very prevalent in the way the business is being done. I see agents having a great month in January and the rest of the year is bad. I see agents having a great month in March, and then June, July, August was terrible, and then another great month. So it's an up and down. Right. It's an up and down, and it's not consistent, and it's not a very good, healthy way of being in business and living a life, because you are not consistent.
So then it will be short. You were saying, like, without the vision, you see that usually people will come in and have a short stint and then they will go off. They won't stay long term.
Struggle. They're always
struggling
to maintain, right? It's always a struggle. And I know some of us in this call, in this meeting, or if you're watching the recording, somehow, somewhere in our journey in this business, we have struggled that before. I've struggled that before. I've been through that before as well. So I understand. Sometimes there was a moment where, sometimes you wake up in the morning in the shower and you're thinking, how are you going to pay your bills tomorrow? Because the deal has not come in yet. Right.
Yeah,
so these are the things that I think constantly I see. How can we mitigate this and make this sustainable?
Yeah, it's good. I think we can all relate to that. Just there's the long term, but the short term is right there, like at you. The lion is still still crouching to get you. So how are you going to manage all of that? So yeah, like just to put some practical to this, when you think of a vision, what is a good vision? Like, talk about having a vision. So what's an example of a good vision not just some like random thing.
So a good vision is be very clear what's the end goal you want at a certain season. So I say a 1-year vision that
Okay.
will link to a 3 years and a 5 years vision. And I
Right.
will start with the big vision 3 to 5 years first. And I work
Oh,
backwards to what is it that I need to achieve this year. And I will set a vision that is based on, there's a difference between goal and vision. And goal is the outcome you want to achieve. Vision is the life that you want to live.
mhm.
It is the whole thing that you want to achieve. And a vision should also have mix your personal life and your business life all together. You have to have that integration, right? To understand my time spent, my family, my business that I'm going to do, the income I'm going to make, the profit I'm going to make. You got to think through all that and be as clear as you can. It's not complex. A simple example is this. In my vision, I hope every single school holiday, I get to go somewhere and spend time with my son. I'm going to take leave, and I will take leave and spend time with my son. I have the time and space to do that. I make sure that I can pay my bills on time every month. I make sure that I have savings of this amount. I make sure that I have this allocation of things that I use to invest. That's my vision.
I see.
Right. And I feel that this year, one of my vision is I need to think about how to be more healthier, right? Personally, right? Still thinking through that, right? Challenging, but thinking through that. So this is like a vision, right? Very clear, not complex. Few things only. Not a lot of things, not to conquer the world and all that. Let's just talk about simple things, right? You break it down, right? This is what I want to achieve this year.
Right. So it's like, it's monetary goals. And then it's also things like, I want to spend a certain time with my family. I want to spend like a week doing this holiday, or this could
Right.
also
What
be
do
in
you
your
want to
vision.
become at the end of this year?
Who do I want to
What
become?
you want to become? Who do you want to become at the end of this year? What does it look like? What's the life that you want to have at the end of this year? You think about that, right? You think about that.
Okay, so that's a good example. All right. So how do you create that? How do you prepare that? What do you need to consider? What questions should you ask yourself if you want to create this vision?
There is a lot of reflection needs to happen.
Okay.
When you come to my age group category, it's easier to reflect because live enough for certain seasons of time, and by the way, I'm not very old, I'm still very young.
Yes.
It's easier for us to reflect. So reflection is important. Thinking through what has happened over the years, thinking through what you have missed out last year or 2 years or 3 years, thinking through what you didn't want and what you didn't like. Help us to understand what we want and what we like. Now, if you don't know what you like and what you want, you should know what you don't like and what you don't want. Right?
Okay.
Because it's either way. You can start either way. If you don't know what you want, start with what you don't want. Start what you don't like. Start with what you're not happy with. And if you see all those things and you say, okay, this is the things that I'm not happy with. I'm not happy with my health. I'm not happy with the way I take care of my health. I'm not happy with my time with family and not enough of time. I'm not happy with the business profits that I'm looking at, right? This is what I want to change. So I think you have to go through that reflection conversation, right? And it's as simple as, okay, let's reevaluate even my whole expenses, my whole life expenses, the whole business expenses. Let's look through at that and say, is this sustainable? Let's work through backwards. So there are many things we can reflect on, but reflection is important because it lets us think through what we need to reevaluate and recalibrate.
Right. So you mentioned earlier that, there was a time in your life when you even switched, like you were going in one direction and into music, and then you decided like, oh, I'm going to switch out. So that must have, how did you make that decision, like to change?
So I ask a lot of questions. I think through a lot of things. And I ask myself, am I in the best place or the best time with the best resources to have the best opportunity to fund my life and my family's? I got married early that time. And I reflected, is this the life that I think that can help me achieve what I need to achieve to fulfill my responsibility? Even though this is what I like to do, music was my dream. I started at 4 and I wanted to be a musician. It was really my dream, right? And I realized that it couldn't. When I asked myself that question, the answer was very clear. So at a very young age, in my early 20s, I asked a lot of questions. I think through a lot of things. I was guided with a lot of mentors, a lot of people that journey with me at a very young age to help me ask those questions as well. Now, if you cannot have that reflection, get someone to sit down and ask you some questions. And then I remember people ask me questions, and I think through a lot of things, and I begin to form certain thoughts and form certain understanding and make certain decisions that I realize that, look, it cannot be done, right? When it cannot be done and I know the probability is low, then make a decision then.
Right. Yeah, I like that advice. So you're saying if you have trouble thinking on your own, you can get like a good friend or someone to ask you the right kind of questions to make you reflect and think about what you want to achieve and what
very importantly, the answer must come from you. The question comes from someone else. It triggers us to think, right? Think through, and you will have the answer. All of us have the ability to think. All of us have the ability to face the realization. Most of us, if you're all mentally sound and healthy, you should be able to think through that and understand and answer those questions. We can be in denial sometimes. It was difficult, but once you answer those questions and you look at the reality, accept reality, then you make decisions based on that.
I think John, you're very good at asking questions. Why don't we just make a quick little few questions now that we can share with everyone, so that they can ask each other. Maybe you can get together with your accountability partner, whatever. You can ask these questions of each other, your best friend, whatever in the industry. So if you were interviewing an agent and they wanted to think about their vision strategy, what questions would you ask them?
I will start with questions like, how are you doing financially? Do you know where you are financially? Right.
Good. If we can get someone to write in the chat, it would be great. Then we can come up with
where are you financially, personally and in business. There is a difference between personal finance and business finance, right? They are all sometimes linked, but you need to be clear where is that. Second question, how are you in your family life? How's that like?
Right.
You have no family, how is that in your relationship life? You have no relationship, how is that in your personal life? What are you doing about your personal life? What's going on? Right. Maybe the third question I would ask is, rate yourself 1 to 10. Where are you? How happy are you last year? Right. In where you are, what you have achieved, 1 to 10. 1 being I'm totally unhappy, 10 I'm very happy, right? About what I have. Ask questions like, if I was specific about our business, is what are the things that you failed to achieve that you should have achieved?
Okay.
Many questions you can ask. What are the things that you regret? What are the things that you regret doing that you didn't do? Or the things that you did, or the things that you didn't do? What do you regret? Right. What were the lessons that you learned over the last year? The mistakes that you have. I'm sorry, I'm going very fast. Whoever's trying to type. Okay, wait. Watch the recording. I don't forget what I said. But anyway, no, but it comes like that, right? Because these are all reflective questions, right? What are some of the mistakes that you learned from last year? Right.
I like your question about 1 to 10. How happy were you? Right. So let's say the person answers maybe a 4. So what would be the follow-up question?
What could happen that it will become a 4 to an 8?
Yeah, I like that.
What could happen? What should happen? What must happen? What may happen? Right? That it could be from a 4 to an 8. What would that look like?
How can you, what would it take?
Because as you ask this question, you begin to bring realization about things that you never thought about. Right? You never thought about certain things. I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing today. I wanted to be a symphony orchestra conductor. Right? I'm playing a conductor role in my business right now. If I look at it that way, right? So I'm still living that life that I want, but it's different, right? I never thought I could do that. But if you ask those questions, right, you begin to reflect.
Wow, now I'm wondering what instrument I am and what instrument everybody is. And we're very good at playing our instrument. Right. Okay. So so let's say you went through all the questions, you create, this is the income I want to make, these are my goals with my family, my personal life, I want to learn this new skill, like whatever, you plan out your thing. Once you have that, what do you do with it?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Go tell someone about it. Get someone to hold you accountable. Share with people what you want to do, what you're going to do. Now, there's a chance that you won't do everything you say you will do. We are always like that. We want to do a lot of things, and we realize a lot of things that we want to do cannot be done in time because one thing was bigger and the other thing stopped the other thing. So there are many things. But important to be clear, put it down in pen and paper if you can. I'm drafting my vision. Still drafting my vision this year. I'm still drafting myself this year, right? Put down in pen and paper and tell someone about it. Tell your spouse about it. Tell your coaches about it. Tell your peers about it. I like to be very open about my life. I have my own. I go to this group called the Incubator. There's a group of CEOs from other businesses. I sit down and I share this vision with them so that they hold me accountable. They ask questions with me when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, right? I share with my MAPS coach. I share with my life coach here in Malaysia. I share with my spouse as much as I can. Share with a lot of people, even the team that I'm in. Sometimes I share with them what I am, right? So I think when we are open enough, and I'm not asking you to tell everyone, not everyone wants to do this. There's nothing wrong if you just keep it to yourself. It's okay. But what I'm saying is when you put it out there, you declare it, there is this difference between me holding it and thinking about it myself. Because when I just leave it by myself and think about myself, chances are nothing will happen because we don't move by this a lot. We have accountability. Accountability changes a lot of things. Or at least the effort to be one to accountable changes a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So make yourself accountable. I like that. So, I mean, once you've said it and all that, do you just like set it, you tell people and then you forget it? Or like how often do you need to come back to it and reflect on it throughout the year?
I think reflecting on when I was younger, I said it one time and I just let it be alone. Is very common when you are younger. But I think as I grow a little bit more mature in age, the reflection happens more frequent. It could be a monthly reflection, weekly reflection. Sometimes my coach holds me accountable. Like for example, he's asking me this question because I haven't shared with him my vacation plan for this year yet. So he's been chasing me. So when are you going to have vacation plan with your family? I haven't put that on paper yet, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that was something that he asked me, right? So that accountability then triggers me to think through about that again.
Right.
So I think constant, monthly, weekly, if you can reflect, ask yourself, are you doing the things that you say you're going to do? Sometimes you are not, and it's okay because we fail, we make mistakes, we get distracted. Many things, but that alignment is a constant alignment. Like the cars that grow out, they will never forever be 100% aligned because eventually you still go back to the shop to realign, right? So it's the frequency of that, right? So the tires will always run, the tires alignment will always run, regardless of what car you drive in this whole planet, right? All alignment runs because as you move forward, as you go fast or you go slow, as you just keep moving, alignment will run, and alignment is a constant thing. It's a constant dynamic thing. It's not a passive thing, right? So this is where I would encourage everyone to find ways to make alignment, to bring alignment.
I think that's great. I like that analogy of the cars and the wheels. It's very good. I'm feeling the need to or the desire to ask for group wisdom. So everyone on the chat, I'm sure many of you have already set your vision. You've had vision in the past. How do you keep yourself aligned? Like I don't know, any little tips or tricks on how you share with others or, remind yourself about your goals and all that. I would love if you guys could just share in the chat. Maybe we can just get some ideas flowing and inspire each other on ways that we can, make sure we can stay focused on where we want to go, keep our wheels aligned, that we can keep driving in the correct direction. That'll be nice to hear from everybody. Okay, let's talk about this. So what happens if we don't, actually before that, earlier you were mentioning about this whole thing of the survival mode, right? The survival mode. And so one of the reasons why you need to have a vision is so you don't stay forever in survival mode. So I was also thinking like, even you have the vision, it doesn't mean survival mode is no longer like the line is still there. There's still going to be up and down, like all that, right? It's still the reality. Even I think Joanne put in the chat, isn't that the reality of our business? There is some, up and down. So would you be able to comment on that? Like how does that work actually? I mean, it's not a magic pill, right? That you have a vision, suddenly everything is fantastic. So how does that work? Yeah.
So it's a constant tension between survival and thriving. It's a constant tension to get out of survival all the time. Yes, Joanna is right. The reality of business is not consistent. The month of when we were in like general election fever last year, the month of October, November, September, October, November, everything went down. Now we can't control those things. So recognizing things that you cannot control and recognize things that you can control. Very important. What is it that you cannot control? I cannot control the existence of the tiger, lions, elephants in the jungle. I cannot control.
Right.
But I can control how I should avoid them.
Oh.
I can control how to evade them. I can control how not to trigger them to come and attack me. I can control where to be when they are not around. I can so be clear of what you cannot control and what you can control, and focus on what you can control.
Nice. Yep.
So when the business is down, focus on what you can do so that when the business come back, you are able to take charge. I believe right now, for example, in the property market, I believe we are in a bottoming market, meaning this is as bad as it can be. Unless something special happens in the next 3-6 months. I believe second half of this year, we're going to see a big change in the market, a big movement in the market, because there are certain things that I think will be in play. And that's a different conversation. But what I'm saying is that you have to be clear what you can control, what you cannot control. An example today is what I can control is, okay, market is bad, is low right now, down. What do I do to prepare for the next market that's coming in? What do I need to call? How many listings do I need to get? Who are the people I need to call? During COVID, 2 years ago, if you remember, we went on this care calls conversation. We tell people, keep in touch, keep in touch. Agents that went and keep in touch and prepared, they thrived. They had the best year of their business when the market just came out of MCO. Because why? They were prepared. They were controlling. They were doing things that's within their control. They're doing things that's within the purview of what they can do, and not focus on what they cannot change and do. So sometimes when we are in survival mode, we keep focusing on the fear of what's going to happen versus on what can happen if you do take action later.
Okay. So yeah, okay. I love, wow, okay. I want to just summarize. So I like earlier you said the constant tension between surviving versus thriving. So there's a tension. So you're always, you want to thrive, but there's a tension. You're always coming, the reality of survival is there, right? So you're going back and forth with that. And then you're also mentioning about, the need to focus on what you can control and then what you cannot, what's outside of your control. Can we go a bit deeper into that? So let's be very clear. So in the area of real estate, what do agents have no control over? What can they not control?
You cannot control the political policy. You cannot control, suddenly the minister say MM2H now is cancelled. Or suddenly interest rate go up by 7%. You cannot control all these things.
Wow.
Right? You just cannot these are the things that is beyond our control. We have to understand as human beings, all of us must understand that we've got limitation. And certain things is not in our control. Once you make peace and you understand that, right, you will think about things differently. Then you start asking the question, what is it that I can do now to make things better? Because the focus becomes on the things that you can do, not the things you cannot do. Like, for example, if I'm cutting all my budget, I got zero budget to spend this year in my business, but I still need to make a business, right? Then focus on what you can do to control. You can't do marketing anymore, then don't do marketing, do prospecting, right? So these are the things that you can control.
Right. Okay. So you can control, you're saying you can control, you can do your prospecting. That's something you can do.
Yeah, you can do prospecting. So for example, in real estate, I have very little budget. I cannot compete with the other agent who has more budget than me. Okay. And it's very common to have that happen. That's great. Understand that, make peace with that, make a plan. How can I build a budget that compete with that person? How many prospects I must make? How many calls must I make? How many people must I see? A lot of times in this business, agents like to be passive. Agents like to be passive. They don't like to be active.
Right.
Yeah,
So
they don't like to be active. They like to be passive, and they want to wait for things to happen. And traditionally, this is the frustration that I always tell agents. Agents like to wait for, put an advertisement, put a banner, put a bunting, put an ad, and hope someone call them.
mhm,
That's not going to work anymore, guys, in this
right.
market. It's not going to work. You got to go up there, touch base with people, go hand in hand. I was just talking to an agent who was selling project 2 weeks ago. And he's saying that on Facebook, there are 300 agents advertising on Facebook. So there were lesser people on Facebook. You know what they did? They went to the LRT station and started giving flyers, and they make sales.
Wow, cool.
It's
Yeah,
as simple
there's
as that.
opportunities out there of things you can
Do
do.
the things that your competitors are not willing to do. Create value when people are not willing to create value. Engage clients, engage people when people are not willing to engage. Because 99% of agents are passive.
I heard the most amazing story. I hope she don't mind me sharing.
Sure.
Rena told me a story about like when she first started, just to show how hungry she is for business, right? So she at that time she needed to find, need to find people that she's very focused. I'm going to call this many people a day or whatever, right? And then she's looking for who to call, right? So she doesn't have anyone left in her sphere of influence. She's already talking to everybody. So she would just open the newspaper and she will go to the job opportunity section, right? And she will call the numbers on all those job opportunities, because she said, what, the person that answers the phone, they probably have a house, what? They're just a human, right? So she will just call and be like, hey, I see that you're offering a job for accounting. However, I'm a real estate agent, and I, just thought I'd reach out to you and wondering, if you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell property, whatever. So she would I was like, wow, I mean, there's really endless. I mean, as long as there's humans in this world, then there's like opportunity for you to reach out and find business. I was quite inspired by her.
Yeah, and that's the attitude, right? That's doing things that I can control.
Right.
Yeah, doing things I can control and manage our expectations that we need to do more, and maybe we make less by doing more. There's this problem, is that I'm not willing to do more for less.
Do more for less, right? You feel bad, you have to work so hard, and then you, compared to last time, you had a quick win, you worked very little and you got a lot of return.
Exactly. And that's the trap.
Right.
That is a trap. And a lot of things people I observe, they fall into that trap in this business.
Right.
And in any business, because when you have a good time, everything happens naturally. It is in a challenging time, you need to create unnatural results. And unnatural results require you to do things that is not normal.
So you might have to put like triple the amount of effort to get the same result.
Or you need to just change the way you approach it.
Yeah, right.
It's not about the effort, it's about changing the approach.
Leverage,
and changing the mindset and changing the ways of doing it.
Okay, there's a very like controversial question in the chat from Joanne. So this topic of what you have control over, she says, will you say, okay, how about controlling people? For example, the people in your team, are they in the category of what you can control? If yes, how would you rally your team?
So here I would throw you a question. I think Joanne is a mom, I'm a father, all of us are parents here. Try to control your child. How far can you get?
Right. We cannot fully control another human, right? We can't like
you can't, because all of us have free will.
Yeah.
I try to control my dog sometimes. I messed up too. Right? So, but there's something we can do that is different from controlling, because we cannot control people's thinking, actions, but we can influence.
Okay.
And leadership is about influence. There's a huge tension between control and influence. Sometimes we create environment, it seems like being controlled, but it's actually influencing. I'll give an example: rules and policy. It's meant to control. It seems that it's meant to control, but it's actually to influence the behavior. We set rules in place. No, I'm following football recently back. I regained back some love for football, because I used to follow football, because my son now is interested in football. So my favorite team is Manchester United, and they did well. They beat Manchester City on Saturday. Big game. I went to watch at the pub with my son, and I was having conversation with him, and he was asking me this question: what has changed in the team that was losing, that I was supporting, that was losing for the past 5-6 years? And I think it was the leadership. This manager came in this year and imposed certain rules to make sure that everyone pays in the team. and he's not afraid of the superstar leaving. And superstar left.
Okay.
And he set certain rules in place. He set certain policy in place that you are late for a meeting, you'll be dropped from the team. Even you are playing well, if you are late for one meeting, you are dropped from the team for that next game. So when you set certain rules in place and certain policy in place, and you must communicate why this policy and rules is set in place, is to influence them to come to a certain behavior that will benefit them, that will help them win, right? So I think the word is influence, not control.
Right.
Right.
Wow, I like that. So it's about, you cannot control people, but you can set the boundaries, you can set up those rules, and then it's up to them to choose whether they want to follow or not. And they might choose not to, but yeah, but that's cool. So that's when we can have our influence and see how far that can go.
Right.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier, you might not achieve every aspect of your vision or whatever. So let's talk about that. What happens if you don't achieve your vision? How do you move on? Okay.
Reflect, adjust. I'm sure you look at your vision. Maybe 100% is this. I wanted 70. I achieved 50%. Evaluate yourself.
Okay.
Have a very serious evaluation about what has happened, what went well, what didn't go well. Evaluate. What are the areas that you think you won? What are the areas that you think you lost? Evaluate it and think through that, and then see how you can adjust certain things to move forward. Right?
Right.
Calibrate. So calibration is a constant thing. The word calibrate is I'm adjusting, right? But in order for me to know how to calibrate, I must know what happened. So that's why perspective is what has happened, what is happening now, what may happen in the future. That's three perspectives, right? That's very important. And sometimes we always don't look at all three. We only look at one. And that's where you get stuck. Or in the past, it was a bad experience. We shouldn't do this again.
Right.
Or right now it's not happening, but in the past it happened, but you didn't want to do this again. Why? So, or in the future, this is the relevant thing to do. So when we put three components in place, perspective is very different. Now, this is the physical realm. I have a spiritual realm, but I want to talk about that. But there is a thinking, right? That when you have all perspective in place, you begin to have better understanding and realization. So
like that bird's eye view, instead of just sitting here and seeing what's in front.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a step back and look above and see what's going on.
Right.
And then come back down again, right? So it's a constant journey of that kind of expression or the kind of evaluation.
Right. So for you, I don't know how you would have answered the poll question earlier. How will you feel if you do not achieve your 2023 vision at the end of the year? Would you be devastated? Would you be discouraged? Carry on? How would you feel personally?
No, I will definitely go through a journey of discouragement. It's only normal. It's only normal. I will go through a journey of a pain, a journey of sadness, or whatever you call it. But then I will ask myself what I need to do to get up. Right.
So you will feel the discouragement, but then you're gonna okay, let's move forward. Let's how am I gonna move? Yeah, reflect and then think about what to do next, basically.
Correct. Because it's important for us to be clear about all those things, and it's okay to go through the emotions. I think we cannot deny the emotions. We cannot reject the ill feelings or the negativity, because it's part of the whole composition of the whole journey, right? You cannot say everything is nice and rosy, and it's not like that. Life is not like that. It's full of ups and downs, but understanding why we are down, understanding this and going through the process. I mean, you need to mourn, you need to be whatever. You have to go through the emotional process for us to be healthy. And it's a cycle. And we are all emotional beings, right? Being emotional is part of that journey. That's why we are still alive. If you don't feel pain and discouragement, right, likely you are not alive. Right? It's part of the life journey, right? You have to go. It's how you handle it, right? And how you think about it. But you must get up.
Don't dwell in that.
You have to get up. You have to find a point in time that you will get up. Some of us get up faster, some of us get up slower. Fast and slow is very relative. right? I might say one day is fast. Some people say one day is slow. So
Right.
it's very relative. Whatever pace that you think is working for you, you decide because it's your life. But get up. Once we get up and we realize it's not what we want, sometimes it fuels us to do better.
Right. Yeah, thanks for that perspective. Don, we have the lions are coming.
Right. Okay.
My dog is here.
Okay.
We gotta everyone go for survival and climb a tree. Okay, I want to ask you, I know you mentioned that you're still building your 23andMe vision. Are you open to sharing with us like a bit of what things you're trying to put in place for you personally? Are you open to sharing?
Yeah, sure. I think personally, I'm reevaluating how I should have a better quality lifestyle. Now, quality lifestyle not means better things in life, but time for myself, time for family. At the same time, how do I live a healthier lifestyle from a healthy, because I was not well in the past couple of months.
Okay.
And it has shaken me to think through, I have not taken care of myself very well.
Right.
So how do I relook at that? How do I calibrate this? What do I need to do? Change my diet. So I'm in the process of thinking through on how I change my diet. For example, those are some of the things that I'm thinking about. And the way is looking at this is prioritizing what you want to become. Right. So those are the things that I'm looking at. Time with my family. How do I plan vacation times better? How do I think about in business? How do I do less? How do I do more with less? I'm seriously looking at this right now again this season. How can we achieve more with less? How can we be focused on that one thing? Someone asked this question: what's that one thing we can do this year?
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. So ask that question. What is that one thing that we can do that will move the needle? And not be attracted or not be distracted by others. Sometimes in our business, because this is a very sometimes it's a very personality-driven business, that we get influenced by a lot of things going around us, right? So sometimes how do we take away the noise and focus on things that matter? And it could be just that one or two things. What do we need to do? So I'm in that thinking mode right now. How do we achieve more and with less? How do we do less and achieve more? When I mean do less, doesn't mean work lesser. I mean not do so many things. You still work hard, but you work hard on one thing or work hard on two things. That's what I mean. So don't get me wrong. Let me clarify. It's not like you don't mean
like be lazy and don't do anything.
Yes, you don't do 100 things. You just do that one thing that will change the entire course of your business, and you focus on that. What would that be?
Right.
Because what is that one thing that you do such and such that everything else becomes irrelevant? Right. Then you do that one thing, everything else becomes, what do I need to do? So I'm constantly looking at that one thing. What is that right now? And we need to change and ask that question, because we did not achieve our goal last year. I did not achieve my business goal last year. I'm very transparent about that. Not happy about it. So how do I change? What do I need to change? Right.
So then you're thinking, and then you also had the health issues, right? So you're thinking, how can I do more with less? Like be able to achieve more and still achieve the goals without,
So how do I eat? How do I eat more and still gain less weight? So it's what you eat, right? It's not the quantity anymore, right?
Eat a lot of celery.
Yeah, I know. I eat a lot of berries, and I went to research what is berries. I didn't realize banana is considered a berry, and strawberry is actually not a berry, right? So berries are supposed to be good for me in this physical condition.
Don't eat the same number of bananas as you eat blueberries.
Correct. So be very careful, right? So but see, when you enter this journey, you begin to go into this thing and you begin to think through and you begin to research and you begin to spend time thinking through what you need to do, because you are clear. I'm clear. This is what I need to achieve. How does that look like? Would I achieve it? That's a separate issue. But thinking about that, right? So having that constant thinking about, okay, what is that diet look like? So that's my example of the vision that I have.
Earlier, you said that phrase, what do I want to become, or who do I want to become? I don't know is that something you can articulate, like for yourself, what your goal is in that area?
I think for me, my goal, what I want to become is how can I become a good father and a good spouse
Okay.
and
Right.
still run a business successfully,
Right.
and be a good servant for people, to serve others. I come from this mindset of how do I serve people, others, that will impact and will create impact in whatever I do.
Right.
Whatever I say, whatever I do, how does that serve others in creating impact for them, for people in the industry, right? So I'm very passionate about that, and that's what I want to become. Right now, what you want to become now doesn't mean you all must be like that. I'm not saying that, but that's just for me, right?
And then
how do I want to live that life that I will become that?
It must be hard to, I mean, there's a lot of things, right? You mentioned, spouse and father, and then, having that servant, serving others in the industry. It's a lot of different goals. So it must be hard to balance it all. This is the challenge.
And in reality, you cannot balance one.
Right.
Life is never a balanced life. You counterbalance. If you read the book, The One Thing, you can counterbalance. You cannot balance because it's irrelevant. It's not illogical to balance. There are certain things we spend more time on, and certain things we spend less time on. I can't afford to play football with my son 8 hours a day.
Right.
So if I work 8 hours a day, I can't play with him 8 hours a day. There's no balance really.
Okay, sure. But I mean, on the big picture, like that's what you said, you have a holiday that's set aside 100%.
You counterbalance, right? You think through about counterbalancing. Make certain rules and policy in life, right? I have certain rules. I try to be home by 6:30, 7 o'clock latest every night, right? Try to be there. Make sure that I put my son to sleep, have a conversation before he sleeps, right? Saturday, Sundays is time for him and my wife, or Friday night is time for me. So I have this counterbalance behavior that I'm trying to impose on myself, right, in this journey. So counterbalancing is important.
It's good. Yeah, counterbalancing. So when you have multiple, I mean, we all have to do this, I think, because we will all have multiple things that we have to focus on. Otherwise, we're gonna also burn out, right? That's why if you just go so intense, so you're saying that's what happens to people in the industry. They go so intensely and then it cannot last.
Right.
So you need to be careful and balance.
So that's why it's important to do the one thing or the two things. The one thing that you just do, and then you just focus on it for this year to achieve your goal, and it's okay. And it doesn't, and if it's not perfect, things are not nice, it's okay. Sometimes we get a bit artistic about our life. We think that it has to be perfectly framed. It's not. But if it can help you get your profit that you want and it's not perfect, go for the profit first. Right.
So the way you're describing it now, it sounds like you set up your vision with all the things, and most likely you will not achieve every single one. Like it won't be a perfect picture at the end, but it's okay, right? We just continue. At least we reach some of them, and we will continue. If you don't even put that there, you might not achieve any of them.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, we got a question from Joanne. What is one book you would recommend us to read this year? Wow, we got a whole bookshelf, guys.
Great book.
Atomic Habits by James Clear. Okay.
Be very clear on what you do every day in your habits. And this was a very good book, because if that one thing you find, and be very clear of your atomic habits, meaning you don't have to do a bunch of things, but be clear of what you need to do and make those things happen. Give an example. It talks about if you in our business, is if I'm in recruiting business, is how many people I need to talk to every day. Just be focused on that. How many people I need to call, how many people I need to meet. Just be focused on that. Just be very clear about that. Right? And execute it according to what you want to do about that, and not let anyone distract you. This is a great book. Gary Keller himself recommended this to us last year. I'm still reading through this. This is great. Atomic Habits is a great book. Another book would be this great book here, called Who Not How. A lot of times we are trying to figure out a lot of things on our own. This company is full of talented people. In this call, I can see so many talented people and so many people with a lot of resources. And if we believe in God family business, help each other to support each other. You may contribute in certain ways, and if you have a question, reach out to someone in this organization, anyone. It's not about how, it's about who. Who should you ask for help? And sometimes it's not about really the person doing anything for you. It's about that person answering some of your questions and giving you some, like, I was very encouraged. I was in a division director lunch, I think on Friday or Thursday last week. I saw one of our division director offering, you know what, I have just set up my teams on command and I'm loving it. You guys should come and see how I use it. And I think the way I use it will help you. I went through the journey, and she said that she's now enjoying command for teams. Right? And she's earning extra 300,000 because of that right now. Right?
Wow.
She has because of the team's function in the in command. People are not that. Then two guys set up and say, okay, can I call you and meet you next week and let's discuss and see how you do it. That's who, not how. That's how you should be leveraging on one another, because all of us go through mistakes, go through challenges. You should be learning from each other. This is a company culture where we should be learning to serve one another.
Amen. I love it.
Yeah. So do that. So these are the books. These two books, I think, are great books to read. Who Not How, Atomic Habits, very good books to read. I think it will help you all to have a grasp of how to make certain things not so complex, even though it seems complex, but how to make it simple.
Right.
And make it faster. Let's just get our goals done. Let's just move faster in life, because there are a lot of things I want to do in my life than just business. Always remember that.
It's great. It's great. Okay. I think we're coming near to the end of our time together. And I'm thinking, why don't John, maybe you can prepare some last words of encouragement and things to share with the audience. And in the meantime, if anyone in the chat, you have any last questions you want to ask John, any aha you can share for everyone, you just share one thing that you heard from John today that spoke to you. It's just like we can get a summary of all the things that he said, all the thoughts that came up in the list. It will just encourage everyone in the group, right? So let's, as he was talking about, we can encourage each other. Some of us are very good listeners, and if we can share what we heard, it will encourage others and will be a teaching for others. Also, some even came late to the call, so maybe they would love to see what was spoken up. So if everyone could take a minute just to put in an aha in the chat, that would be really great, and we can get some learning together. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask for the announcements to come up. We have quite a few things to show today. All right, let's see what we have for this upcoming. All right, have you guys heard of KW 360 Plus? So this is the Matterport video. This is so easy to use. You just go to the website. You can order a scan. You can order a scan for your listing or forever, for yourself, whatever, for a property up to 10,000 square feet. They will come in and do all the work for you. They will scan the whole place, and you will have this amazing video that's on our website for life. It's hosted there, showing a whole dollhouse view. You can even do measurements inside the room. It's fantastic. And it's only 168 ringgit per scan, 83% off of the usual 988 price. So this is only for KW agents. So please take advantage of this and use this. This is really the new standard for listings. Yeah. Okay, next one. All right, we have our client touch points as usual. You can download these to be able to send out. You can blast these out to all your potential clients and past clients. Ask me anything about buying or selling a house. So just to get people to know that you are the market expert, and you want to reach out to them. So this is a good opportunity for you to reach out to your database. All right, next one. Yes. Okay. I hope all of you already have your KW command app and also your KW app. So just to be clear, you can use your command app to do a lot of things, right? You can use it to WhatsApp your clients directly. If any of your leads come in, it will go into your command app. You can WhatsApp directly if you didn't know that. You can also use your KW command app. That's the red one, the command app, to get an app link for the consumer app. So you can go there, share your, see the little picture, share your KW app and send that link to your database so that they can download the consumer app and then look at properties, and it will show all the properties under your name so that they can contact you and you can co-agent or whatever to get more business for yourself. So we're just giving you all these things so that you can reach your goals faster. So I hope you appreciate that. If you have any questions, you can talk to your MCS and get help. All right, next one. Okay, guys, I want to invite everyone on this call. Please, please. This is such an amazing resource. KWW puts on an agent growth call every month. So this upcoming one is with a woman named Mimi Bond, and she used her database to grow her business to a high height in 5 years. So if you want to learn how to use database and use it well, come to this call. It's this Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Malaysia time. So we'll send this link in the chat. You go there and you just have to register. They will send you the Zoom link, right? It'll go into your calendar and all that. Please come for this call. It's such an amazing resource by KWW. So I hope you'll join that. All right. Anything else? Okay, we're done. Okay, let's come back to you, John. Yeah. So okay, were there any questions? I didn't even check. Were there any questions in the chat?
There was a question in the chat box asking me
Okay.
what's the best lessons from Atomic Habits.
Ooh, good question.
And I want to share one of the lessons that I'm thinking through is that small habits make big differences.
Mm.
It's the small things that matter. It's the small habits that matter. It's the consistency to make up the phone every day and say, I want to talk to 10 people every single day. I want to set 3 appointments a week. I want to get 5 listings a day. It's those small things that builds a big business. It's those small conversations. It's those small habits that we create, right? Help us to be better at what we are. Consistency. Right. So one of the things about Atomic Habits that I'm reading right now, I haven't finished everything. I'm still going through it. But it's one of the simplest thing I can think about is habits are the one that changes the outcome of our whatever we want to achieve. It's the habits. It's really the habits. And motivation is overrated. Motivation is overrated because it talks about motivation is an emotional thing. Success is a emotion with mechanics. Meaning motivation, the real word motivation, it shouldn't just be about feeling good. After I go through one motivation session, I listen to this story, I'm going to change my life. Well, if you don't take any action, nothing happens. All of us can go to Anthony Robbins and walk on the fire. 3 days, 5 days later, we come back, things will be the same. Things will be the same. So how do we change that, right? You hear a story, you are motivated, you take action. That's why it's called motivation. It's motive in action. So motivation is not emotional alone, it's mechanical. It is physical. It requires action. It requires reaction. It requires things to happen in order for us to stay motivated. Think about it this way. If every week of the day, you get 5 listings exclusive and it's priced correctly, I'm just being extreme. Will that motivate you to move forward?
Yeah,
if I'm talking to 20 prospects, right, every single week, right, and they're all interested to join KW, would it motivate me to stay where I'm doing right now? Because it is the action that you are in play, that is in motion, that help us to keep going. So when you're inactive and you have no motion, when you have no action, there is no motivation. You will stay where you are. It's just that everyone say command doesn't work. I don't like to use command. I don't like to use technology. Because you never use it. That's why you say it's not working. But it works for other people. Then you must ask this question, why does people using it and it works? Why is it not working? Because do I spend enough time using it? Do I spend enough time learning about it? Do I put effort to motivate myself and take action on it to make it work? As an example, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that's the way, but what would that look like? So I think motivation is overrated when you just think about it as an emotional thing. It's not. It's a very physical thing, guys.
Interesting.
It's a very physical thing. You get up and you do work done, it will work.
Usually I think about the motivation as I need the motivation to do the little things, but you're saying actually by being consistently doing those small things every day, you will eventually get some wins, and that win will actually motivate you you'll get excited when you actually make progress, which will motivate you further in the future.
Right.
Oh, Right. That discipline of just doing the daily habits is the key. Sounds like. Yeah. So yeah, there's another question in the chat. I don't know how you want to answer this. I know this is not the topic for today. I don't know if this is
Yeah,
the
but
time to talk about it.
stay tuned for some announcements. Just stay tuned, stay tuned. As I said, just
Okay.
stay tuned. Stay tuned.
So yeah, so those who don't see the chat, yeah. So for those who want to know about the vision of KW, I think stay tuned. You'll hear about it later.
Stay tuned. Yes. Good question, but yes, we are aligned with you. We hear you. It's gonna happen. So stay tuned.
All right. Okay. So any final words you want to share with the group, John, and then before we say goodbye.
Yeah. So I think for this year, I hope it will be a better year for everyone. And in order for us to have a better year, it requires us to reevaluate and relook at how we do our things in our work, in our business, and our life. And I ask everyone here to reevaluate. Find the perspective. Be clear what you want to become. And I promise you will have a better journey this year. And I ask all of us, I want all of us to have a better journey. I know it has been very tough for the past few years, but this year I believe is a great year for us to reset a lot of things. As a company, we are going through certain resets, which I will be sharing very soon. It's important for us to think through about this and reset it so that we have a better journey and a more fruitful journey. And I hope and I wish that at the end of this year, all of us would have a better year in every aspects of our life, not just the business life. It requires us a lot to reevaluate and to relook at certain things, a lot of things, right? That in what we want to do. So that's my advice and that's my hope for everyone. And make things simple in your life. Don't be complex. Be very clear of what's your 80% or the 20% of that, what you need to do in your life, in your business and your life. Be very clear what would that look like and focus on those one things. Don't have to do so many things. Do not be distracted by so many things, because a lot of times 80% of the stuff in this world are a distraction. It is the 20% that matters. Focus on the 20%. Be very clear about it. Be accountable to achieve the 20% and just get it done. And I promise you will see a change in your life, in your business, and you will live a more fulfilled life. Less is more.
Great. So good.
That's my
Thank
advice.
you so much, John. All right, so we come to the end of our call. I wish everyone on the call well, and we'll see you again when we come back for another Winning Mondays. In the meantime, I wish you all a good journey in the jungle, and don't run away from the lion if they're doing lion dance. It's a good lion, not the bad lion, okay? So anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy Chinese New Year for those who are celebrating next week. Wish you all well. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.